Hello and welcome to this edition of the Podium, which is coming to you live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation with me, Asmiva. Our quote of the day says, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Coming up into this edition of the program, as more than 34 people have been arrested by the police following the dawn raid on Monday in Yoni Chiefdom, the LUC in the area has been suspended. Government pays 25.1 billion as fees for over 1 million pupils as the government launched the free education program. Minister of Energy inspect facilities at Charlotte and Bankasoka and the Makali sites. Junior Doctors Association of Sierra Leone ends a General Assembly. All these and more, including your messages which you can send to 0883733504. The number again is 0883733504. It's Podium. Let's start with first issue. The Sierra Leone police have arrested 34 people with 709 kilograms of substances suspected to be marijuana at the Masengbe and Matimbo villages in the Yoni Chiefdom, Tonkolili districts. Well, according to the Sierra Leone police, the arrests were made after a joint raid headed by the transnational organized crime of the Sierra Leone police together with other security forces under the operation code Operation Green Storm. Well, the local unit commander of the area said he was not informed of the operation and he was shocked and surprised to see hybrid forces descended on the community. Well, no sooner the LUC spoke to the media than he was suspended yesterday. Well, in the studio is the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs, retired Lieutenant Lahai Lawrence Lima. Welcome to the program, Mr. Lima.
Thank you, Asmi, for having me.
Okay, what exactly led to the operation on Monday morning?
Well, in the first place, I thought I was coming here to clarify issues the propagandists were flaming on the media yesterday that it's a directive actually coming from the orders was from State House to go and shoot people because that was what they were flying all over the place, and so I was only here to clarify that instance, but given the nitty-gritties of the operation itself, like you mentioned, it's an hybrid operation, and of which the Office of National Security, in particular the TOCO unit, which is the unit responsible for the operation itself, they should have been here to be able to explain the operation itself or the nitty-gritties of the operation.
Well, your ministry provides supervision over the police.
Agreed, but it's not a single force operation, it's a hybrid operation.
Who took the lead?
And of which, yes, the police certainly will take the lead, but the ONS coordinates them. However, let me just see where I can come in and to be able to clarify a few doubting issues. Of course, it is a general principle that the government came out with an agenda of achieving food sufficiency, and over the period we've had specific areas in this country that are notorious for the farming of marijuana, and all of us know in this country that we have legal instruments in place that prohibits substances of that nature, and the abuse of that substance in itself, it's one that is not good for national security, it's also not good for crime management, it's not good for public order issues, and given the fact that it's against laws of this country, and at the same time the notorious involvement in the cultivation of such particular product in itself, not just the fact that it's against the laws of the land, but it's also not helping to achieve the food sufficiency we are talking about.
So how long has this planting been, has this harvesting been going on?
Well, for God knows how long. But what is clear is that the TOCO, which is the unit that is responsible for transnational organized crime, especially when the product of this marijuana is normally taken outside Sierra Leone to some neighboring countries for them to actually engage in such trade. And so it has been a decision that such farming should be discouraged. And Cambia and Tonkolili are the two districts that were flagged out because it was an intelligent raid operation. And for Cambia operation was very successful. And for the one in Tonkolili, either the intelligence leaked, and so as a result there was a resistance from the security forces. I mean from the locals as against the security forces, and in circumstances where an armed man has come under a gunshot, certainly the respond or the particular procedure to use is to respond appropriate fire and take the necessary covers to be able to study the situation.
Is that what happened in Tonkolili that led to the death of a 29-year-old man?
The very more reason, at least you should have called for the police spokesperson or you called for the Tukurek.
But I mean, Lima, even if the police, those who carry out the operation, even if they came under attack, there are rules of engagement. Even though you are using force, but you must use the force that is not against the law.
Nobody's justifying that you should kill recklessly, and I am also not verifying, or neither you are verifying that the individual alleged. First, let me express my condolences for the demise of whoever, as long as it's a Sierra Leonean, whether by natural means or by circumstantial death. I want to first say on behalf of government our condolences to the family and to the communities themselves. But I guess you are not in any way saying that the alleged deceased died as a result of gunshot wound, because you have not verified that, and you are not in position, nor am I in position to verify that he died as a result of the gunshot. People are alleging that.
Aren't there rules governing operations like the one that happened in Tonkolili?
Certainly so. There are rules governing those operations, and those launched into those operations are given clear orders. And
did they follow their orders?
I'm very certain they follow their orders, but in situation where they deviate from their orders, then they may be acting on the front.
And interestingly also,
on the of their own, and for which there will be an independent investigation to ascertain whether they were reckless in the discharge of their duties.
Another issue that is being discussed widely in both the traditional and social media is that the local unit commander was not informed.
Well, it's unfortunate that we are in society where, of course, people, even things they don't understand, they put in their own meaning into it. Security, there are stages or needs in priority. I mean, needs in security operations. Even myself, it is not all operations around government that I'm in a position to know. So the operation actually that the joint forces actually undertook in those two districts is one that it was designed that even those who are deployed on the ground were not in a position to know, because
is it that they were not trusted?
They were not that they were not in the need priority. Ask me, for instance.
Well, the LUC is the host. Is the host man.
You can do a letter here as the head of program, and you want your clerk to take that letter to your boss or another head of program. That individual stands in the need priority to take the letter along, but not to know the content of that letter. So in a security operation of this nature that the joint or the hybrid forces actually undertook, was one that they were going to conduct at the area of responsibility of the local unit commander. But the local unit commander was not in a position to be able to know the operation they were going to take. At least that was even to also assess his own state of readiness. That could even be one. That it could also mean that letting him know, it will also have the potential to compromise, right, the objective for which the operations actually was designed, and so.
So meaning in other words, he was not a trusted man.
That is not the point. I think you are still not being able to understand the point I'm saying. If you give a letter to your clerk to take to another office, and for which
I don't think the analogy you are drawing with the letter, I don't think that can be drawn with the operation. I think this.
All right. Simply what I want you to understand: there are needs in security operations. You have what we call the need to know, need to hold, and need to take, right? And if you are not in that need priority in terms of executing that particular operations, then you are certainly not to be informed about the operations, because the operation is designed for a purpose. And if letting you know or putting you in awareness of that particular operations, then the particular objective for which the operation is designed is compromised. And when security operations is designed to achieve certain goal or certain objective is compromised, then it's of no moment. So precisely that's just what I want to bring.
And the LEC has now been suspended.
Well, perhaps
because he spoke to the media, right?
Well, that is what you would say, because he spoke to the media. But is it only about speaking to the media? There are a lot of other police officers who have been speaking to the media without having themselves in such a situation.
Some people say he was blunt. That's why he has faced the music.
Perhaps I'm not here to.
He said he was not informed. He said the operation, the way it was done, there were certain professional blunders.
Well, actually, you cross-check that with the police institution, because the institution is it's a security institution, and they have their own code of conduct, and he's a very senior police officer. He should be able to know what he should do or what he should not do, and if he has flouted their police code of conduct and his hierarchy has taken a disciplinary measure against him, it is not for me to ascertain what led to his suspension or what not. So it would have been better at least you get the police media or spokesperson here to clarify on that issue.
He is Lahai Lawrence Klima, the Deputy Internal Affairs Minister. The program is Podium, reaching you from Freetown with me, Asmiva. Well, Junior Doctors Association of Sierra Leone has ended its General Assembly, which brought together young medical professionals from various parts of the country. Well, Judah Seal for short comprises young medical doctors in Sierra Leone. The association, they formed the association to seek the welfare of young doctors. Well, the just concluded General Assembly discussed the state of affairs of the medical profession and what should be done to salvage the situation that many people say is not much to write home about in the country. Well, in the studio is Dr. Abdullah Jibril Njai. He is the president of the Junior Doctors Association of Sierra Leone. Welcome to the program, Dr. Njai.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, give us a background, first of all, to the formation of this Junior Doctors Association.
Well, Judah Seal, as we call it for short, is the Junior Doctors Association of Sierra Leone, and it's an association that comprises of over 200 doctors in this country, all around Sierra Leone, from the south, the east, and north, and as well as the western area. Judah Seal came about just within the Ebola period, when there were issues challenging to the ministry as well, but then junior doctors were faced with certain issues. Total in the country, we don't have up to 400 doctors in this country, and that means the junior doctors make up over 50% of the doctors in the country. And so we had a lot of issues with regards to protection. We were willing to go to the field and work. Myself was out there, a number of us, but then we had certain issues facing doctors with regards to protection, gear, and so many. And those issues came up, and we faced certain difficulties with the system then. So we had to come together, have a meeting, and advocate for those things to be provided for us so that we will render our service to our nation.
So since the formation of Judah, how can you describe the conditions under which young doctors work in Sierra Leone?
Not much has changed from then. Not much has changed. They're still very, very difficult, and so over the years, 4 years now, we've been come together and looking at issues and try to engage the various authorities and stakeholders in health and to pass on our message. So basically this year we had our very first General Assembly with the theme of remodeling our healthcare systems, what's the health workers' perspective. And in this General Assembly we had quite a number of young doctors all around the country with nurses and other para-health workers, and we came together and discuss healthcare. Healthcare into building blocks of healthcare. We look at the health infrastructure, service delivery, health financing, the workforce of itself, which is a pillar on its own. And we looked at each one of these ones. What's happening with the service delivery? Are people around the country, are they getting the services they deserve to be healthy and able to perform in other capacities? Is it equal all around the country? Is it the same in Bot? Is it the same in Kailan? Is it the same in Koinodugu or Kambia or Fita? So, and through discussing, we realized that it's not so. For instance, we only have one tertiary hospital in this country and it's located here in Fita. So what Connaught is providing here is Fita and you cannot get in the East South. I think recently the Minister of Health was on air and he was saying it's high time we try to also distribute that state-of-the-art kind of facility to the south, to the east and to the north, so that it's just not in Fita. We look at infrastructure, there are issues. Quite a number of health units and this around the country don't have water supply or constant electricity. Bed capacity, amount of building limitation, accessibility in terms of food. So there's an issue of health infrastructure as well that affects Sierra Leoneans that want to access health, and that is important. So whilst you're looking at other developmental pillars like education and this, you also have to invest in health. Because you might invest in free education, educate the population, it's a huge investment in terms of money and other things. But if you don't make sure those children and those young people are healthy, then you ended up wasting, because the most painful thing that can happen to a parent is for you to have invested 18, 22 years educating your child and then they die at 25. So that's why we're also trying to plead to the authorities to make sure that they address these issues and go. So the other thing we looked at is human resource. Like I said, there are not up to 400 doctors. The nurses, there's also a limited number of them. And with the other health worker, laboratory technicians, paramedics, all these various professionals are limited. And then we have a population of 7 million. So when you look at the human resources available to serve, it's limited. So most of the time there.
So what is the ratio of one doctor to the population?
We have about 1 to 23,000. And it's interesting for you to know that WHO recommend 1 to 1,000. So we are far. So, which means there's a huge shortage. And that's why we also try to highlight in the reports that the government has to invest in medical training so that it could boost the number of doctors that come out of.
Is it that the government has not invested, or is it that the willingness of people to come forward and study medicine that has been the key issue?
I think it has to do with investment, usually the interest of the authorities and stakeholders in health to prioritize medical education and training and make sure that we train our own doctors and increase the number we train, so that this is reviewed very frequently, but also in the shortest possible
We have
time.
a medical school in Sierra Leone where doctors have been trained.
Yes.
You the younger folks, most of you have gone through training in Sierra Leone.
Yes, commerce has been around for about 30 years now, 31, going to 31 now, and they still produce about 20, 30 doctors. That's still quite low if we were to meet the 1 into
Annually, or
1,000.
you mean since commerce was established?
Annually. And like I said, even commerce has been around for 30 years, we still have less than 400 doctors in the country. So that means we're just crawling, we're just taking baby steps.
So did you discuss as an association to know why is it that the people are not coming forward to study medicine? Is it that much investment has not been done?
Yes,
or is it that we need to change the course itself to make it to accept real the challenges that face modern education?
So one of our recommendations is for the authorities, the stakeholders, the government, the NGOs, to invest in medical education and training institutions so that we can train our doctors. Because again, after commerce, there are more trainings that have to be done, but some of them will leave for America. Some now even Ghana and Nigeria to go and do further trainings, serving those populations, why is it not serving Sierra Leone? So if the government and the authorities can make our own postgraduate institution here, it means the 5 or 6 years they go and do outside to study and serve other populations, they can still study and serve the population. So And when you go out to study, there is a temptation of never returning if you get a job or get married or other things. But also other things we discuss, like I said, is human resource, the conditions of service in terms of motivation. Like you're saying, somebody cannot come forward to study medicine if after all those years of studying, you still see that a doctor or nurse or health worker is not motivated with low pay, no incentive. It will be interesting to you that the average civil servant will work in this country for Monday to Friday, 8 hours, 40 hours. But doctors have to work the entire day, night duties and extra call weekends, which amounts to over 80 to 100 hours. So that means even double to 3 times the hours of an average civil service. That's why other countries in the sub-region and in the world have made sure that they've modified their intensive scheme for doctors so that it's updated. You don't only talk about basic salary now, you talk about extra night call allowances, extra hour allowances, so that at the end of the day, the health workers...
So are those allowances available in Sierra Leone for you, the doctors?
No, they're not available. We still use a very basic old-fashioned pay structure. This is just your salaries, and that goes within the civil service. That is one of our recommendations also to the government, is to make sure we have the Health Service Commission take over the human resource and management of health fully, so that they can focus on it. It's a very big unit, and it's a sort of a management.
Continue to be with us. He is the president of the Junior Doctors Association, Dr. Abdul Jibril Injari. The program is Podium, coming to you from Futawali, the chief librarian of the Sierra Leone Library Board, Salutary, has said that according to the United Nations, approximately 775 million adults lack literacy skills, while 60.7 million children are not attending school. Well, he made a statement during the International Literacy Day. Well, the theme for this year's International Literacy was Literacy and Skills Development, promoting reading amongst children for a sustained reading culture. Well, Theresa Busha-Conte is a member of the Sierra Leone Library Board. Welcome to the program, Madam Conte.
Thank you, Asmil.
If we were to do an interpretation of this figure in terms of Sierra Leone, how many % of Sierra Leoneans have access to education?
The number is less. Thinking of that, the number is less. And the Sierra Leone Library Board is working day in, day out to make sure we increase that number.
And people, I mean, when we were going to school, we used to visit the library, we spend time there. I don't know whether that is still the culture.
Yes, it is. It is. It is still the culture. The Sierra Leone Library Board works 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday, Monday to Friday from 9 to 6, and Saturday 9 to 1. So it is open 6 days a week. And the same thing that used to happen before is what's happening now. It is open to the public, and we are even going out on outreach programs to make sure people know the essence of using the library. Not only using the library, but making use of the facilities that are in the library.
Many people think that you only visit the library once you are preparing for your examination.
That should not be the case. You should be seen using the library whenever it's open. Because if you only say you go to the library to use the library when it's exam time, then you are cheating yourself. You are not making proper use of the library. If you go to the library even when you are not ready for exams, you make yourself au fait, or you read materials on a regular basis. You only go to the library when it's exam time for you to revise, not go to read that intensive way. So I'll advise people to be making use of the library, especially parents who have younger kids. Once you start with a young mind, it goes a long way. People normally say, when you start with a young child, whatever you teach that child at that young age stays for long. So if you start with that child at that early age, it goes a long way and it improves his or her educational performance.
So how equipped is the library itself?
The library is well equipped. We have brand new books. People normally say, the library is stacked with old books. No, we have brand new books, and not only books. Now we are working with the global trend, moving towards the electronic era. The library is working on having an electronic library, electronic learning process, and we've started it with other libraries. Not all the libraries. As it stands, we have 22 libraries in the country. But for anything we want to do, we have a pilot phase to start with. We have a few libraries in the north, the south, and the east, and the west as well. That are pilot phases with the help of our partners, the American Embassy. they've been able to make sure we have internet facilities in those libraries, wherein people can go to the library free of charge and make use of the internet facilities, although it is being monitored, because it is there for you to do your educational purposes, for you to do your educational research and the like. We won't like to give out the services and you use it for something different, so we'll do monitor the usage of it.
Okay. Continue to be with us. The program is Podium, coming to you from Fulton. Send your message to the number 0883733504. The Ministry of Finance has announced the allocation of 25.1 billion to bank accounts of over 3,490 schools across the country as first-term fees for the 2018-2019 academic year under the free quality education of the government. Well, the funds are for government and government-assisted schools barely a few days to the reopening of schools. Some schools are yet to receive full package before schools reopen on Monday. Well, in the studio is Brian Michael Toure from the Ministry of Education. Welcome to the program, Brian Michael Toure.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, how many schools are we talking about here?
In total number of schools?
Well,
our recent census revealed a little over 11,000, but that included private schools and community schools as well. If you're talking about government and government-assisted schools, you're looking at somewhere around 9,000. So that's what you're looking at.
So this payment is just for the first-time school fees?
First-time school fees for government and government-assisted schools, excluding private and community schools.
I mean, so what's happening with those community schools?
So with those community schools, what the minister has said is that as soon as they are able to actually reach the minimum standards for approval, they will be approved.
What are the criteria?
We have several of them. First of all, before you even start to think about opening a school, you would have asked the Ministry of Education to go and inspect the environment. It has to be a school-friendly environment in the first place. So we have the criteria. They only need to come and give them the checklist, and they know exactly what they need to do before they even begin to think about opening a school. But it has been the culture over the years that people will wake up one morning and decide to open a school, because running of a school has become some very profitable enterprise for most people. And so, without reference to the Minister of Education, a politician, when it's time for politics, will promise a school. And then thereafter, once he wins the elections, he would go and create some makeshift thing and call it a school and say, this is a school I promise you, with no reference to the ministry. They will pick somebody from the community, a dropout, or Beckett dropout, or WASH dropout, as the teacher. This is how we have a proliferation of schools all over the place. So now we have captured all these schools across the country in the recent census that we conducted as a result of the minister's advice. And now he has a clear idea of how many schools we have, how many teachers we have, both trained and untrained, both qualified and unqualified. And so that gives him a clear understanding of where to intervene.
So at the moment, the community schools are still going to exist?
Of course, they are still going to exist, and that's the reason
why
we said...
Is that not going to defeat the free education purpose itself?
It won't, because all they need to do is to actually do what they're supposed to do in order for we to approve them. And the minister has started that approval process as of last week. So he's approving schools, because the allocation to the Ministry of Education through the supplementary budget is somehow healthy, to the point where we can approve more schools and approve more teachers, so that quality in the free quality education will not be compromised.
Many people thought those community schools that did not meet the criteria set by the Education Ministry should have been closed for now until they meet the laid down criteria by the ministry. So
now that we're approving schools, that is what the minister has said. We'll look at schools. Once they apply, we'll go and inspect them. If they're not up to speed, we'll tell them to shut them down. Or if the proximity between one school to another is very close, we will tell them to merge. So we'll be doing all of that to make sure that we don't have all of these schools all over the place with very little impact on the educational system.
I have seen some so-called private schools that are zinc built. They are worse than even some government-assisted schools, and they are still being allowed to exist.
Yeah, but you have parents who are also sending their kids to that particular school because they call it private school. And so
why should the ministry allow such a school to exist when the ministry knows that that school does not meet the criteria set by the ministry?
I just told you, as me, somebody wake up one morning and open a school before you conduct a school census. That school has actually carried out its activities for a very long time before you actually capture them at the end of a year when you carry out the school census to know that this school exists in this particular place. That is how these schools crop up.
I mean, last week I spoke with the chairman of the Conference of Principals. He said the issue of 50 kids per class is not going to work. He was very much pessimistic.
Well, I mean, I don't know what he meant by it was not going to work. We did not
He
say
said,
that.
according to him, he said the same structures that existed when the two-shift system was operating are the same structures that are now being made use of.
So as
The same classrooms that accommodated maybe 60 or 70 are now being asked to go one shift, for example. And
So
how
as
possible
when
is that?
when the pronouncement was made, it did not include anything like we're going to open schools in September and be completed in September. Everything is going to be available in September. We never said that. President never said that in all of the times that he had actually spoken about free quality education. We said we're going to start in September. So that means it's a work in progress. Like I always say, I have said it here a million times. When America said they were going to the moon, they did not say it was going to happen the next day.
No, but you have said, I mean,
something.
BMT, sir, sorry to interrupt, but you have said in this program, you sat in the same place where you sit now. You said this new dispensation, this new academic year, 50 kids per class.
I never said that, Ashmi. I said that is the plan. I said the pre-quality education is a work in progress. I said it here. That every year would add its own ingredient to
So are you now
pre-quality
saying that the
education.
50,
By the time we get to the 50
kids, are you now saying
we
the
would
50
have
kids, are you now
observed and
saying
realized
the
the
50
full
kids per
complement
class?
of the pre-quality education.
So are you now
Understand?
saying the 50 kids per class will not start this September?
I am saying not in all schools that you would find 50 kids per class. That's what I'm saying. And that's what I have always said. So I never sat here and said 50 kids would be in every classroom in every part of this country. Never once did I say that. Where are the resources for that? It's a work in progress. 5 years down the road, you can ask me and I will tell you, go to any school, yes, you would find 50 kids
Have you
in
not
one
modified
classroom.
the messaging now?
I am not modifying that message. It has always been the same message.
So
And I
which
stand by it.
schools are going to accommodate 50 kids per class?
I cannot tell you from the top of my back, but I can tell you that when we asked schools, heads of schools, to write to us if they think for whatever reason they would not be able to return to a one-shift system out of a little over 9,000 government and government-assisted schools, we did not have more than 200 schools sending letters to us to say they would not be able to. So that's encouraging. So that means we are at 99% in our effort to
No,
return
but
our schools
the chairman
to
of
one-shift
conference
system.
of principals, I did tell him about that, but he took that with a pinch of salt.
Well, he can take that with whatever. I'm talking about data that is available. A census that we conducted quite recently that revealed very clearly how many schools we have in totality and how many schools are government and government-assisted schools. And so when we said, if you cannot go back to a one shift, write to us and let us know. They did. But those schools were not up to 200.
So those schools that
And
cannot go to one shift, what's going to be their fate? Are they going to continue with their two-shift system?
So we went there and did an inspection. I led a team that inspected 16 schools. For some of those schools, it was just a matter of refurbishing structures that they already had in there and put desks and chairs in there and you can create classrooms. For some, you put one more layer on top of another building, you have many more classrooms to accommodate pupils. So all we're saying here
But
is,
that cannot be done.
Ask me.
That cannot be done by the 17th of September.
Of course, I have never said that all schools are going to return to a one-shift system on the 17th. We said we want schools to return to a one-shift system by the 17th of September. But out of a little over 9,000 and you have only 200 saying we cannot return, that's 99%. The same America that has everything, as we may assume, still have beggars in the streets. Why is that? No, everybody is not catered for. The system could not be able to cater for everyone. And so it's the same with Sierra Leone, who depends on other countries for our support. We can only do to the extent that we are able to do within a given time frame. And that is what we're doing.
Bianchi, now let's talk about another issue. This morning, a teacher was interviewed on Morning Coffee. He teaches in one, I think in the primary school in Jala also. He said they were asked to teach during the summer classes. They were told that they were going to be paid, but haven't thought now they are told that because they did not have PIN codes, they are not going to be paid.
No one said because they did not have a PIN code. There was some problems at the Accountant General's office, because if you're not a PIN coded somebody and you're not already in the system, it is difficult for you to access money. Like you would have to open a bank account and all of those bureaucracies, you know. Accountant General's office cannot just send money to you, physical cash, or call you and give you money on the table. No, it has to go through a system because they have to account for it. And that has been the reason why there has been this delay for some of them to actually access that money. But this is a mandate that came from the president himself, that those teachers who would be teaching our kids over this holiday period should be paid. It's not like Somebody just woke up one morning and said that should happen. It's the president himself. And the Minister of Education gave the instructions. But what has been the problem is those who have PIN codes, for the most part, the majority of them have been paid because it's easy. Now they're being paid through the banking system. It's not like before when you would
So those without PIN code, what's their fate?
Those without PIN codes would make special arrangements to make sure they are paid because they have earned that money and they have to be paid. And believe me, they're going to be paid. That's the promise that we made, and we're going to fulfill that.
Where were their recruitments?
Their
Making them
recruitment,
become full-fledged teachers.
their recruitment, as I speak, there is a meeting going on now with the Teaching Service Commission and us to actually talk about it. They have sent out adverts. The deadline is tomorrow, actually. So if you're a teacher out there and you have not still applied, please apply today and drop your application at your nearest district education office. You have been complaining that you've taught for 5, 10, 15 years with no PIN code. Now is an opportunity for you to actually change that whole story. And the minister has said between now and December, any teacher that is trained and qualified that is teaching in our schools should be put in the pay voucher. So that's a welcome news for them. You know, and for someone who has championed the cause of teachers for over 10 years at the Sierra Leone Teachers Union, worked at the Labour Congress, and then, of course, Labour Minister at one time, and now Minister of Education, you can be assured that his interest is teachers. So he has made that assurance many, many times that he would work towards that. The very reason why every committee that he has set up right now has Sierra Leone Teachers Union represented, National Council of Head Teachers represented, just to sanitize the system to make sure that this time around it's going to be hallelujah for the teachers.
He is Brahma Michael Tue. The program is Podium. We are going for a short break. After the break, the program continues. Well, we are back with the program Podium. Few messages have come. This first one says, Mr. Lima, I believe the police have killed many innocent souls. How can the ministry intervene in training police on operations and crowd control. The police must be investigated for, well, this one said the people must be investigated for planting jamba. It is unfortunate for someone to lose his life, but the raid was in place to eradicate and minimize the cultivation of marijuana. Dr. Njai, don't you think that someone should have the zest for medicine and even the government of or NGOs enhance the facilities? We need more medical doctors in Sierra Leone, but they are frustrated by the environment in the country. Medical education needs more doors and conditions of service. If doctors must be attractive. The final one says, was the raid ordered by State House or your ministry? People are saying the raid was ordered, was called from above. Some are saying State House gave the command, gave the go ahead.
Well, except people are still not trying to abreast themselves as to how state governance run. The president is the head of the country, and therefore
he's the commander in chief.
Exactly.
So is it wrong for him to give such an order?
Well, let me just say something. Therefore, he is the commander for almost everything that runs the state. But what the message people want to convey, as if the president says, police soldier, go and kill my citizens that I'm ruling over. That's exactly the kind of message they want to convey. What we have to be clear about here is that public institutions precisely have statutory mandates to perform certain duties, even without central government says, go and perform this task. The police, for instance, are under duty to ensure that law and order prevails in society. And so in situations where there are public order issues, the ministry even need not say, go there and address that issue. Certainly so, the Inspector General of Police and the senior management team will come up with an operational plan to ensure that they execute that. Or even before that, let's take for instance a spontaneous action. The AIG in charge of operation can just call the AIG in charge of that particular locations to be able to address that issue. Similarly, the Office of National Security is there to coordinate the joint effort of the police, the military, and other security entities to undertake specific operations.
So now, is it the farm that was raided, or the residents or the houses of people?
Well, ask me, what you should have done really was to have called either Mr. Languba Kelly from the ONS.
Oh, you are the Deputy General Affairs Minister. You should be abreast.
Yes, abreast with issues, but at the same time also, I want to leave certain job for certain people. Who
The reason why I asked that question, the people in the village are claiming that their houses were ransacked, their property were looted, their sons or children were beaten. So you ask the question, is it that the police went into a farm or they went into people's homes?
Well, I'm not the appropriate person to answer that question. That's simply what I'm saying here.
But you and I have seen where commercial bikes were arrested. You can't arrest a commercial bike in a farm, can you?
I have not seen that anyway.
But even the Kamtoko man accepted that commercial bikes were arrested. They are now the police.
He did not accept.
No, he said commercial bikes have been arrested, and whoever knows he or she owns that bike, let the person come forward.
No.
I listened to the interview.
I was with him. I think when Sanmata even tried to steal.
No, not on SLBC radio.
Oh, okay.
I listened to him in another radio station,
okay,
and
well,
he did
confirm.
That commercial bike was arrested.
Well, if for any reason commercial bike was arrested, then perhaps commercial bike was also aiding and abetting the very crime itself, and so the commercial bike may be germane to the operation itself. And
so what's happening?
If the commercial bike is germane to the operation or to the crime itself, then it's also worthy of evidence.
So have police cordoned off the farm?
Say again?
The marijuana farm?
If
police, have they cordoned off the marijuana farm?
From what I heard from the Toku man this morning, that in fact their operations were disrupted by the very fact that they came under gunshot, and so the community resisted them. So either they are coming back to redesign the plan and to see how best they can now take a well-coordinated raid operations again, because that is certainly not going to impede government from
So
pursuing.
don't they know where the
pursuing-
alleged
its
marijuana farm is?
Well, in the first place, if you have also gotten an intelligence that the product itself has been harvested and they have been kept somewhere else, you first have to do condom and search, raid for the substance, get the substance, and if of course it's not enough, you still also want to pursue with the farm. Well, perhaps it's by leg operations. The first leg was to do the condom and search and get rid of the substance, and the second leg would have been.
So what's
to
the
go to
quantity
farm.
of the substance that was captured?
Asmo, I am still not the expert to really say that.
You are the deputy minister of internal affairs.
That does not mean
You
I
should
should
be briefed.
It does not mean I should. Even if I'm briefed, it does. Well, also again, there is need to know here. Maybe what you're supposed to know, you have known, and the investigations are still going on with regards whatever allegation that has actually been profiled regarding the death of someone in the circumstance.
And this is not the first time. I can count endlessly the amount of civilians that have come under police gunshot.
Well,
And many times nothing comes out of it.
well, not under this regime, right? Fine. So for this one, where people have alleged that the deceased person was died as a result of the operations, if the pathologist verifies that indeed the disease died as a result of gunshot, and then the independent investigation also comes out with a report showcasing that the individual police or the individual personnel, security personnel, was negligent in the discharge of his duty, then certainly so the law will take its course.
He is Lahai Lawrence Lima, the Deputy Internal Affairs Minister. Dr. Njai, many times people say the way doctors behave in this country, they prefer money to life. Take for I'll just give a scenario. I have seen, and other people have also seen it. You will take your patient to any of the government hospitals, for instance. The doctor will know that this person is struggling, he or she needs medical attention. But if you don't have money, they say you are very closer to the grave.
So, one thing I'm listening to people when they make statements around the world, people normally criticize doctors because high standard is expected from us. But 2 to 3 years of my practice now, in any government facility, whether it was a children's hospital, maternity hospital, cottage, Connaught, or sometimes that I've been to the provinces to work, I've never encountered a situation where a doctor has put money first. And we should know that the health system in this country, you pay to the system, not to the doctors. Doctors don't come in contact with money. They come in contact with patients. Sometimes we'll have issues with patients having queues. Like I said, the number of doctors is limited. Having queues and have to wait, because even sometimes you go for operation. Now at Connaught, if it's an emergency, it will be done. But if it's not an emergency, you'll have to be in a schedule. Like I said, the number of health workers is limited. If you have your hernia and it's not an emergency, you'll have to wait. It will take weeks, it will take months for you to. And sometimes patients run out of patients and become frustrated, and with health workers and nurses. And there are sometimes human factors who come in, because if they're impatient and patient and care. But for me as a doctor, as I tell my colleague, when you go into that situation, you try to calm the nurses and calm your colleagues, and so that we all work. But I've never seen that situation.
And people also say the patients that the older doctors had, the younger generation of doctors do not have that kind of patience.
That's not true as well. Look, Judas still comprises of a new generation of junior doctors. We are not running away from Sierra Leone. We are not running away from this country. We have decided to stay. We are trained here and we are staying. And that's why we are doing these conferences and these things, so that we help contribute as stakeholders in the system. We're a very important set of stakeholders. We're in contact with the patient, we're in contact with the ministry, so that our own role is played not only to serve in the clinical setting, but also in the advocacy part, that we need to improve our system so that we, the doctors, can also have good health care, and the patient can also have a good health care. We, the doctors, can be happy with better conditions of service in terms of pay and allowances, and we can deliver a service for the patients to be happy as well.
So have you presented these concerns to, let's say, the Minister of Health?
We've already taken our reports, like I said, to various authorities. To the Minister we've taken. We also will take to certain other ministries that are health related, and also work with the Minister of Health. And we'll also target certain stakeholders that are involved in this, so that we all discuss and deliberate and see a common ground for us to take the necessary actions.
I mean, do you have something that you suggested that should be done immediately?
Things that should be done immediately, we have itemized. We have the short-term things. One will be conditions of service. Doctors have to be well paid, they have to be well motivated, together with all the other health workers, the nurses and the paramedics. Training also is short-term. Government has to invest in training so that the medical school is expanded and postgraduate institution for specialists and consultants is invested in so that we can train them here. You don't have to go outside or leave the country.
That's capital intensive, mind you.
Yes, it can be done, and as a matter of fact, it's an emergency that it is done, because if it's not done, if those two motivation is not there and then the training is not reimbursed, then we are still in a big problem. It's much more expensive to go to Germany or to go to Ghana to be treated than to invest the money here, solve our issues so that we can all be treated here, and the money and our time is spent here. Because if you go out to outside to be treated, it affects your productivity. If you don't have a quality health care system and you have to die young or die early, it affects the country. But if you can solve these things with immediate effect and within the shortest time possible, then we are also helping the country in terms of how the country performs in every other aspect.
What about this issue of doctors working in private hospitals and where they give little service to the government hospitals?
Okay, so
when you visit the government hospital, the same doctors you see at Cheltenham, for instance, are the same you see at Connaught Hospital.
Yes. So like I said, with doctors want our profession. And the second thing we need to know is that when you work for the system like the government, you have hours of work. And in hospital, we have shift systems added to that. So normally, like I said, this average will work for 40 hours, but doctors in Sierra Leone still go the extra mile to work 80 to 100 hours sometimes. But even at that, there are more hours in the week than that. For doctors, because the services is needed, if you've worked your time in a government facility, even around the world, in America, in England, everywhere in the world, you can choose to work your extra hours in another facility, as long as it does not affect your services or compromise anything you do.
But that's the key issue. Some people say the time they spend in the private hospitals is more than the time they spend in the government hospital.
In my own case, I don't know much of that kind of situation. Like I said, when it comes to doctors, the public normally have more speculation and this and that. But when you
it's speculation because it is they who feel the reality. They come in contact with you every day. It's
the same around the world. That's why you have boards. Connaught has a board, and most of that board, people who say they are patient, people who represent patients, not doctors even. So they can always channel complaint to the boards and to the necessary apparatus so that they look into that. But that's why also the Human Resource Department in all the government hospitals has been boosted recently so that they take account and make sure that doctors attend and they stay in the hospital and they will do their work.
Okay.
And also for the nurses and other health workers.
He is Dr. Abdul Jibril Njai, the president of the Young Junior Doctors Association of Sierra Leone. Now, Madam Teresa, how is the library, what is the library doing to ensure that reading becomes habitual in Sierra Leone? It seems as if the culture of reading is dying.
Thank you, Asmir. The library has gone far ahead in making sure that the reading culture is again revived in the country. In all the 22 libraries, in the first instance, for you to really imbibe a reading culture in someone, you have to start it at an early stage. And for that person to be interested in reading, first the environment has to be conducive. The environment has to be friendly. And in that light, the Sierra Leone Library Board has gone ahead, together with its partners, Bouquet International, to refurbish children's libraries, make them into a standard one. They have brightly colored, painted libraries, children's libraries with the necessary equipment, furniture, and they have a well-stacked libraries, children's libraries with new books. They have reading materials, brand new. They have also things to keep the kids lively, play, toy, and the like. And we have well-trained and qualified staff members that are manning those centers, those children's libraries. They have rich programs, activities geared towards encouraging the kids to inculcate the habit of reading. And not only read, they should be able to interact with books. Because when you're able to interact with books, it urges you to read. And so we have all those skills, we have all those things put in place in making sure the children have a space. The children have the ability to read, and the children see reading as fun.
Thank you very much, Lahailo and Slima. As we are rounding up now, when do we expect the outcome of this investigation concerning the death of a 29-year-old man?
Well, once that is complete, of course, the public will be informed accordingly.
He is Lahai Lawrence Slima, the Deputy Internal Affairs Minister. Well, that's how we descend the podium for today. On behalf of my guests and my producer, Salmataba, I've been your host, Asmi Uba. Till we join you again tomorrow, goodbye. God bless you.